your tickets now at Fandango.
Hello and welcome to Time About the Movie. Today we are taking a look at the two films of November 15, 2013, hence why we don't have an intro this week, but how appropriate that one of the big new releases is the big Christmas movie of the year, and that is The Best Man Holiday. Now, I've already done a video on Christmas in July talking about this movie, so I'll kind of sum this up pretty quickly overall, but after nearly 15 years apart, Taye Diggs, Nia Long, Morris Chestnut, Harold Perot, Terrence Howard, Sanaa Lathan, Monica Calhoun, Melissa DeSouza, and Regina Hall reprised their career-launching roles as the characters reunite for a Christmas weekend at the home of their friends, Lance Sullivan and his wife, Mia. And I like the first movie a lot. I actually was very surprised at how much I enjoyed that movie because you like these characters so much. They're all likable. Their characters are very well portrayed by these really good actors all across the board. The comedy is really funny and cleverly done. It's a really fun, solid comedy that I honestly thought got lost over time, but I remember when this movie was coming out, they were hyping that up. I mean, you saw the thing at the end of that where it's like, get advance tickets now. And I'm thinking, why are you doing that for a sequel to The Best Man? A movie that hasn't had a movie made in 14 years. And it's just like, well, it turned out there was a big audience for this movie. I mean, they had the entire cast on, in 1 week, they had the entire cast on The Talk, which, for those of you who don't remember that show, even though it came to an end recently, that was the CBS equivalent of The View. The Dr. Oz show, when, back before he was part of our medical, part of our political, it's the current administration, I say that. And even when Arsenio Hall had a late night show. Yeah, people don't remember. Arsenio Hall had a late night show in the 2010s that lasted one season, even though Jay Leno said, hey, you got a second season, and turned out not to be true. There was an episode where he shows up during the monologue and hands Arsenio Hall the renewal for a second season, even though they didn't officially announce it yet. But yeah, but the point I'm trying to make here is that they had the cast of the show for 2 nights on that show, and I didn't think this movie was such a big deal, but lo and behold, this thing made a ton of money at the box office, more than the first film did, which is hard to believe for a sequel, like I said, coming 14 years after the previous movie, and it surprisingly is one of the better comedy sequels, coming more than a couple years after usually my cutoff. I mean, I've talked about my cutoff here. Usually it's between 2 to 5 years where you make a good comedy sequel, and if you're trying to do it after that, more than likely it's not going to work out very well for you. But lo and behold, this is one of those rare ones that actually did work, and it really did. It really was a surprisingly good, fun film. It's, the first movie, once again, was a film that worked because it showed black people in a much better light than what we used to seeing in other movies at the time. But this one actually topped it, really, and it did not only do that, but it did what a reunion-type movie should do. This did everything right that American Reunion did wrong. I mean, American Reunion felt like a movie that was literally a cash grab. None of the actors really felt like they wanted to be in it. It didn't feel like there was a real script in that one, but this one here really feels like the complete opposite of that, in a good way, because it doesn't feel like a cash grab, because it's been way too long since the last movie, and it works because the cast just seems to really like working with each other, and it gives Malcolm Lee a chance to save his career after Scary Movie 5 was a complete abomination. But what made it work? Like I said, the cast is really good here. There are a lot of fun in here. I liked a lot of them. I think my favorite ones were Terrence Howard and Melissa DeSouza, who they had a lot of really good jokey lines in this movie that were so funny and made me laugh my ass off a lot during this movie. Like, they had a lot of really good moments in here. Taye Diggs is really good. Again, Morris Chestnut, Nia Long, Sanaa Lathan, Harold Perot, Monica, Regina Hall. I like Eddie Cibrian, who's kind of a new addition here, kind of playing a love interest to Nia Long's character. And easily the strongest performance in the movie is Monica Calhoun. They build up this tragic thing that's going to happen to her, and you can kind of figure it out, but I do like that they trick you into thinking it's something different than what it really is. I like the fact that you had to really think about it first before you actually see what eventually happens to this person in general. I'm not going to say what it is, but yeah, I like what they did there. And yeah, they're kind of taken from the Family Stone, Nothing Like the Holidays type of formula where there's going to be this tragic event that plays a huge impact in the last half of the movie. But it works very well. The movie is 2 hours long, but it never feels like it's that long. It runs really smoothly. If there's one thing I will say that kind of takes it out for me a little bit, It's a big one. A lot of the dramatic moments, like I say, you can kind of see coming right away, and some of them are really unnecessary at times. I mean, like I said, they're taking a lot from The Family Stone, Dan in Real Life, This Christmas, these movies where everybody's coming together and you know there's going to be trouble, like adding in these dramatic moments mixed in with a comedy, but the big one centering around Monica Calhoun's character. But a lot of the big drama moments are mostly ones you can see coming a mile away. You can see when somebody's about to get into a fight. You know when a couple's about to split up because of something that shouldn't have been done in the first place. You know when one guy's going to figure out the other guy's plans just as they finally get along. And you know when they all finally get along at the end again. It's just like, yeah, we've seen this kind of stuff done before so many times. There's a couple of really dumb moments in here. Like there's one where Julian finds out his wife Candace is seen on the video having sex for money on YouTube. And they established in the first movie that she was a stripper before, so the thing about this is that you're supposed to be really surprised that, oh, her wife's sexual past is online. It's just like, didn't we already kind of establish that in the first movie in general? Like, it just really felt unnecessary. But the big one that kind of made me go like, you're really stretching this too much here is the thing with Harper and Lance. Like, Harper is basically trying to get a biography about Lance and throughout the weekend, and you know they've had a trouble passing before, and you know he could just simply ask him, "Can you do this for me?" I mean, I know they've had a trouble pass, but there were better ways to ask the guy if he'd do it. And all in all, they make it more difficult, and they have to do the cliches. They have to do the big liar revealed situation. And it's just like, it really feels unnecessary. But I like the fact that even the movie acknowledges that Lance could have just tells Harper, hey, you should have just asked me and I would have said yes. So I like the fact that the movie at least knows it's stupid, but it acknowledges that too. Doesn't make it any better, but at least I know that the film knows that exactly the problem I have with it overall. But despite the melodramaticness and the pointlessness of some of the drama in this is still a really good movie. Like I said, it did everything a good reunion movie should do. It brings back a cast that clearly wanted to work together again, gave them a good story to work with here, it brings these memorable characters we came to like in the first film back, and I think it's as enjoyable as the first film was. It's not as good, to say whether or not it's better than the original is a little bit difficult to say, but it's still a lot of things I like about it better than the original. Those overdramatic moments do drop it just a little bit here, but I say that both movies are about the same and actually are very good, strong black-centered comedies, and you know a white guy like me can enjoy that overall. It's a really good movie, and it's a fun film overall. A fun, solid comedy any adult can really enjoy. And this is definitely one you want to check out. This is one I can't recommend enough, especially with Christmas around the corner. Definitely seek it out. It's definitely worth it. The Best Man Holiday. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to another really good movie this week, our last film, and that is Alexander Payne's latest film, This is Nebraska.
There's Woody's little sister, Rose. What a whore, huh? No, I like Rose, but my God, she was a slut.
Nebraska, rated R, now playing in select theaters.
And that right there is one of the many reasons I love this movie. June Squibb is hilarious in this movie. You could see why she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars, but you know she was behind Lupita Nyong'o, and that was just basically saying, yeah, you're not going to win this one, even though you are great in the movie. Like, I loved her in this movie. I actually think that this is the movie that kind of made me want to see her and Bruce Dern in a live-action Courage the Cowardly Dog movie. Like, if they ever did that, Bruce Dern and June Squibb would probably be the two people I would cast right away, but This is Nebraska, released in black and white. The story follows an elderly Montana resident and his son, played by Will Forte, as they try to claim $1 million sweepstakes prize on a long trip to Nebraska. You have a cast that also includes Stacy Keach and Bob Odenkirk. You also have Buzz from Home Alone in this movie too. This is his big return after so many years away after Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. People didn't remember him, but yeah, this is a movie that brought him back into prominence for a little bit. And this is another fantastic film from Alexander Payne. This is another great film. This is pretty much his last picture show, because last picture show and this movie are very similar, set in black and white, focusing on all these different unique characters, and you really do get invested in the story overall here, and the performances are just so damn good in this movie. Everybody works very well. The writing is top-notch. The comedy is really good. The dramatic elements are nicely done. The fact that it's one of those great movies that I always talk about, movies set in wintertime. Like, for some reason, seeing movies like this in wintertime, especially around Christmas, on the big screen, like, it just keeps you captivated no matter what you're watching, and no matter what you're watching. And here's another great example of that, man. They don't make movies like this anymore. A movie that harkens back to the days of the last picture show. He's like, you could tell that Payne took a lot of inspiration from this. Bob Nelson did a good job with the script overall. Like I said, the casting is great. The film is not very long at all. Like it runs at a smooth pace overall. Even though it's at 2 hours long, you never feel like you're wasting your time when you watch it. It's just a terrific film. And notably, it was the last film released by Paramount Vantage before they eventually folded back into Paramount Pictures. Which, hey, way to go out on a high note with this film in general. I mean, they made a lot of good movies. They just didn't have as many that would have kept them as long as something like Searchlight Pictures has gone on over, 30 years now. That company's been around. But I heard Warner Brothers is trying to do a new similar studio to Neon, which would be basically their latest attempt to try to copy Warner Independent Pictures back in the day. But yeah, more movies like this. I wish they'd make more movies like this. This feels like an old school movie from the 1960s and 70s made for modern times. It's a fantastic film, another winner for Alexander Payne, who really can do no wrong. Just top-notch stuff here. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Nebraska, one of the year's best movies. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and next weekend, it's pre-Thanksgiving weekend 2013. I'm looking at this list here. You're going to be surprised on what we're going to cover next week, because we're going to cover two of the biggest releases of the year. The first one being, of course, the sequel to The Hunger Games Catching Fire, with Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson returning, and Francis Lawrence joining the franchise as the director. We also have Vince Vaughn starring in the comedy Delivery Man, and then we have Disney's Frozen, which, yeah, people forget that this movie opened up in limited release in Los Angeles at the El Capitan Theater. It was the only theater that had it out there, and yeah, it was in theaters that weekend, so we're going to cover Frozen next week. We're not waiting until Thanksgiving weekend to cover that one, but we also have Steve Coogan and Judi Dench in Philomena, so 4 films to take a look at. We'll take a look at them all tomorrow on the show, so it should be a really good, fun, packed show. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. Now, with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.